What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. And in our today's video, we are going to be speaking about scary stories from my own personal experience working with demons as an occultist. This is some very interesting stuff that we're going to be speaking about today. Once again, this is from my own personal experience. I don't know a lot of other people that have had these in-depth encounters with demons in the way that I have, simply because I am an occult practitioner who actually summons and invokes these energies around me and into my body. So there's definitely a fair share of really scary experiences that I have had working with these energies. So if this is something that you want to learn or hear a little bit more about, then I highly recommend that you stay tuned, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right out of the gate and get into the juicy stories. All right, so till this day, I have this one really scary experience when I was working, with these demonic entities. And specifically, this is when I was going through a certain form of occult initiation, working with a dark Kabbalistic tree that is called the Qlippoth. There was an abandoned mansion that was right next to a place that I was living. And I literally would walk to this abandoned mansion and I would kind of turn the basement of it into a temple. So this was basically my own space that I would start then performing certain types of rituals and doing invocations of arch demonic energies. For example, Lucifer, Lilith, Belial, and you name it. Now, there was this one point when I was going through this Qlippothic initiation, and I had drawn out all of these different sigils of all of these different archdemons. And I had all the sigils drawn out. I also had the invocations themselves drawn out as well. And I had this intuitive guidance to bring these papers and to perform this ritual in this abandoned mansion that I was very used to going to. So at the time, I was actually living in South Beach, Miami, and I had all the different tools that I needed to really perform this ritual, and that intuitive guidance brought me to the abandoned mansion. So I actually ended up driving about 3 hours to get there, and I arrived there at about close to dark time. It was like 5 p.m. Eastern time. I started setting everything up. I had all my candles around me. I had all my incense sticks. I had all the different sigils that were sitting around me in a circle. I went through the process of saying off these invocations for every single arch demonic entity that was included within this mass ritual. As I was in the process of saying the invocation, this is where things got a little bit scary, okay? So I remember that I finished saying one of the invocations, and I was kind of facing the back wall of the basement. And as I'm facing it, it is starting to get darker, because by the time I got everything ready to go, it was probably about 5:40 p.m. So it was starting, the sun was literally going down, or it was starting to go down. And I'm already in the basement of an abandoned mansion, so there's no lights in there other than my phone light and all of the different candles that I had, and I had about 10 different candles. So it was really starting to, the energy was getting powerful. I could feel it like in my body. I mean, it was an intense experience. So as I'm doing this ritual, the next thing that I noticed is it felt like something was standing behind me. And this is when, you know, the hair on the back of my neck and the hair on my arms and legs literally started to stand up. Because you know when you get that feeling that someone's in the room with you or that someone's watching you, you can almost feel it at an intuitive level, at like a sensational level. I had that feeling like that was so permeating that I literally turned around just to make sure. As I turned around, I'm not even kidding you, there was a shadow figure that was standing literally, I want to say, about 6 feet in front of me. Now, I turn around, I see very clearly this shadow figure, and then it charges at me and literally enters into my body. And all of this happened seemingly in like a split second. So I get this feeling that there's something behind me. I turn around, shadow figures in front of me, zoop, right into my body. It literally scared the shit out of me. Okay. I had like, it shocked my system. I was like, whoa. And I was, keep in mind, I was all by myself, but you know, energetically speaking, apparently I wasn't all by myself. That was an experience that I will never, ever, ever forget till this day. Okay. Ever since that shadow entered into my body, it was almost like my process within my self-development amplified to a higher degree where it felt like I had less wiggle room to mess around. Okay, so kind of looking back at it, I almost like to view it as this ritual that I was doing was literally opening up the gateways to hell, which in many regards we can refer to it the deepest parts of the unconscious mind. And I was doing that for myself. And in some ways, it's almost like I was able to conjure or summon my own shadow self that then manifested itself in front of me when I turned around and it entered into my body. So it was almost symbolic of being able to merge with my shadow from conscious to unconscious, merging together. And then, as I said, from that day forward, I had less wiggle room to mess around when it came to my development process. So there was this feeling of heaviness. There was a feeling of an overall restriction that was happening in my everyday life. And it's not that these things were bad. It's simply that they were showing me that I needed to surrender and let go and actually feel certain things in my body that previously I was a little bit resistant to. All right. But once again, this was a visceral experience that I had, and I will never forget it. It was intense. That was definitely a scary moment. And once that shadow entered into my body during that ritual performance, I still went through with performing the ritual. Okay, because that's not going to stop me. All right, what's another scary experience that I've had working with the demonic realm? So this is actually one of my first experiences that I had with invoking demons. And this was when I was living at this time in Orlando, Florida. And I was actually living inside of a hotel that was an extended stay America. And the reason why I was living there is because I was going to personal training school, which was only 10 minutes away. And part of the program, they had a living opportunity to stay at the hotel. So I was staying at this hotel, and the schooling was only 4 months long. And this was actually the very beginning of me getting introduced into the darker aspects of occultism and actually how you can, you know, build relationships with demonic energies. So I was doing some research. I was really curious about it. And it was something that I felt like in my body and in my bones was just a part of what I was supposed to be dabbling with or what I was supposed to be learning. So as I said, I did some research. I came across some understandings on how to set up my own invocation, which once again requires a sigil. It requires a basic setup. And then it requires the N that you use to chant to connect with whatever energy it is that you are trying to invoke. So I set everything up. I prepared myself to do this. I was very nervous. I was very scared because I had never, ever thought about doing something like that previously in my past. And I came from a very strict religious background as well. So I was raised to believe and raised to think that demons and that demons are evil and they literally want to take your soul to hell, and they are operators under Satan himself and the devil, etc. All of that different religious indoctrination and religious programming that we've all, had our own experiences with. Now, that was also a lot of the place that I was coming from, but I was trying to kind of undo that from my system so I could have my own experience, because I did feel intuitively like there was going to be some sort of value that I was going to gain working with these darker demonic energies. So with that being said, I ended up doing my first invocation in the hotel room, okay? I was so scared. I mean, my heart was pumping. I thought that the demon was going to like physically appear in front of me like another human being would, and that I was going to have some sort of communion or some sort of conversation with this demonic energy. Now, in reality, that's not really what took place. It was not as, shocking as I thought it was, but it was a lot more subtle, and that subtlety was also pretty scary at first, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So I was sitting there, I was doing the invocation, I had my incense stick, I had my candle, and I did the whole thing, and I could feel a presence. Like I could feel an energy around me as if something was there, but I could not see anything. So I did not see the entity standing in front of me, but I could just feel it. So I was led to really just sitting there and being patient and sort of starting to get in tune with my body, feeling my emotions, feeling my sensations, being more so of an observer of what was going on in my mind with my thoughts. And the next thing you know, there was a moment where I felt almost like this energy inside of me that was sort of like moving my head in certain directions. It was almost, this is literally how I want to describe it. It was almost like something was seeing through my body or seeing through my eyes. And it kind of drew my attention to the candle that was in front of me. And I was just gazing at the candle flame. And I was just sitting there continuously gazing at it. And then it like lifted my head back up. And then because there was that little light from the candle in an all dark room, when I took my gaze off of the candle, it almost created like this orb that I remember was like it was like a blue orb that would be there, and it would expand and then it would drop. And then it would reform again. A blue orb, expand and then drop. And it would expand and then drop. And I remember sitting there, and it felt like there was this energy inside of me that was kind of like guiding me through something. I mean, that's literally the best way I can explain it. And then this random impulse, intuition said, move the orb up. Because remember, the orb kept dropping down, and it said, move the orb up. So I was watching the orb go down, and then I said, up. And I put my focus on that, and the orb literally went up. So instead of going down, it went up now. And I was like, whoa, I don't know what in the hell is actually going on here or what's happening, but that's pretty cool, or that's pretty interesting. So that was me doing my invocation. And, eventually, as I was sitting there in silence, kind of just being present with the energy, I eventually decided it was time to close everything out. So I packed everything up, blew out the candle. The incense stick was done, and I was done. I had the sigil of the demonic entity that I was connecting with. I folded that up and I put it in my pocket. Next thing you know, once everything's all wrapped up, I'm feeling the energy still there. Like I'm feeling like I just opened something up, and I'm also a little bit nervous because I'm not sure like what to expect from that. Like, I'm not sure, like, is my soul gonna be in trouble because of this? Is this demon gonna try to hurt me? Like, I have just all these beliefs and ideas and a lot of religious indoctrination that is making me a little bit afraid about, this practice that I just, went into. But long story short, I remember like feeling once again, like there was a shadow in my room. So I remember when I went to go to bed that night, it was like a really hard time going to sleep because I felt like there was something in the room with me and it was like in the corner. And I remember looking at it and I'm just like it required me to feel into this visceral fear and this visceral paranoia that was inside of my body as I was observing this energy that was standing in the corner. I mean, it was one of those things it was hard to put a finger on. It's like, am I actually seeing that? But it looked like a shadow that was just kind of manifest in the corner. And I'm like, oh gosh, like this is kind of creepy. But long story short, I end up going to sleep. I'm laying in the bed and I do end up falling asleep. Now, this is where it gets strange. This night, out of all nights, I literally have this crazy dream. Now, in this dream, I'm literally like traveling through the astral plane and I end up going to like, I think this was honestly my old home, like a home that I actually grew up in. And I ended up in this old home, which makes sense because when we work with the demonic realm, these energies are very supportive when it comes to working through trauma from the past. And I had gone through a lot of trauma living in that home. So I woke up, or I was in this dream in my old home, and there was literally like these demonic creatures that were inside of the home with me. And I specifically remember like embodying almost this primordial state and this primordial rage. And I went up to one of those demonic creatures in my dream. I grabbed it by the face and I screamed at it like a primal rah! And it was like the energy of it almost felt like the energy that I was screaming at was afraid of me. That's how I felt. Now, is that really what took place? You know, probably not, but it was symbolic for me in many ways, facing my fears or facing some of these darker parts of myself. So as I screamed in that entity's face in the dream, I then wake up from the dream. So now I'm in my bed in the hotel, and there was a noise that was in the kitchen, and the kitchen's not far. It's like literally right over there. And I heard a noise in the kitchen, like something, it sounded like something moved. And I'm like, what the heck? And I'm a little bit scared at this point. And then I look at the clock, and I swear on everything, dead on the clock, it was 3 a.m. Not 1 minute over, not 1 minute before. It was 3 a.m. on the dot. And the reason why that was so significant is because 3 a.m. is known to be a number that has a pretty strong resonance with the demonic realm. I'm not 100% sure exactly why that is, but I can imagine it's because usually at 3 a.m., that's a time when most people are sleeping. Okay, it's like literally, like generally speaking, at 3 a.m., most humans, wherever you are, when it is 3 a.m., you are asleep by that time. And I can imagine there's a deep, like, you know, component to that being true and why it could be connected to the demonic realm. But then we also look at the numerology of the number 3, which connects us to the sphere of Binah on the Kabbalistic tree, which is the primordial yin sphere, which is also what is resonant with the demonic realm as well. So I woke up and I saw that 3 a.m. on the clock, and I was like, whoa, like it feels like there's something in the room with me, and there's no denying that. So I tried to go back to sleep that day, and it was definitely really hard to get back to sleep, but I think I ended up doing that. And then, or actually I may have not ended up going back to sleep because I had school the next morning that was pretty early. But yeah, this was 2 of my scary stories of working with the demonic realm as an occult practitioner. Now, although I shared these scary stories, the reality is when it comes to occultism, there's really nothing to be scared about. And when I say that, I don't mean that you're not gonna be scared if you work with these energies, but there's nothing that is truly like really meant to hurt you or meant to scare you from working with these different energies. These energies are very supportive when it comes to the self-development process and working with that primordial yin polarity of self that is correspondent with what we call the death cycle. So you have a death and then you have a rebirth. The demonic realm governs the death cycle of dissolving, deconstructing, letting go, connecting with repressed emotions in the nervous system, working through those with acceptance, and then releasing. And then we can have our proper rebirth energy, right? So demons inherently are not out here to try to scare you, but it does not mean that they sometimes can't be scary, especially with the collective idea that these beings are evil and that they want to damn your soul and all of these other types of things. But in reality, there's a lot of value in connecting with these energies, especially if you do it with a proper education and foundation to know what it is that you're working with. All right. So this was 2 of my stories. I have many, many, many more, but we're already at the 20-minute mark for this video. So I'm going to wrap it up here. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed kind of listening to this little story here, then definitely make sure you slam the thumbs up button. Drop down in the comment section. Let me know if you have your own experiences or scary stories working with demons. I would love to hear your own perspective or just any feedback that you might have for me. Hit the notification bell, get notified whenever I post. I'm literally posting every single day, so take advantage. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you are further linking into everything that I do. Copy and paste the link and send it to someone that you feel like will gain value from it as well, okay? This is the most important link I want to take your awareness to. This is the Patreon, okay? It's the first link at the very top. This is over 280 plus exclusive videos that I have created with blood, sweat, and tears for my Patreon members. It's exclusive content. I have an entire magic training course, which is literally a step-by-step instruction and education. It's like going to school for occultists. If this is something that you are looking to get into and you are a beginner, or even if you're an advanced practitioner, you can get a lot of value from this. And this is something that I have put a lot of time and energy into. It is an 8-hour course for beginner magicians looking to develop a system and a practice that actually produces real results. So that's on the Patreon. Then I have a whole bunch of different collection sections, which organizes different genres of content, all the way from occult, education, ritualistic practices, nervous system regulation, and understanding trauma in relationship to all of this stuff. So definitely make sure you look into the Patreon. There's already 1,200 plus members that are actively signed up. So that should speak for itself. Then as we move into tier number 3 and 4, we are now looking at a very unique service. This is a ritual service that I offer for my collective, for the participants. This is called the Universe B Ritual. It's a very unique ritual that's an energetic transfer from me to you on the 29th of every single month that has one, and it's designed to support you with some of the deepest portions of working with your unconscious mind so that you can start merging with your shadow. Okay, so as you start integrating those repressed feelings, sensations, and memories that are buried in your unconscious, you start merging with your shadow so that your shadow can start working with you, not resisting you. And that really improves a lot of different facets of life in regards to your ability to be authentic, who you truly are, and also your ability to manifest things that you truly desire at a soul level. So this ritual service is an energetic psychic support from me to you to go through that process. And there are about 300 active members that are consistently taking place in this monthly ritual. And there's a reason why. There's tons of people that have gone through some extreme transformations that are utilizing this support system. All right, so if it's something that you want to take advantage of, I would highly encourage you to look into it. It's the first link below. Now in the second link below, this is where you can book a one-on-one call with me, or you can jump right into mentorships. I am very passionate about working with other people, and I currently do have a full schedule working with people from literally all over the world. And what we do is we go into trauma. We go into, once again, repressed emotions that are in the nervous system. We identify them, and then we create healthy ways to understand them as well as integrate them by creating a foundation that helps to regulate the nervous system. And once we finish with locking in the foundation. If it's something that you're interested in, we can actually start moving into occult initiation, and I can guide you through that process in a healthy way. All right, so all of that's at the second link below. Now, also in the same second link, you can book a tarot card reading with Alexia. She is a very gifted tarot card reader that can help you understand what you're going through and then what to expect in your near future. So if you want a tarot card reading, take advantage of it. Third link below is called the Lucifers Foundation course. This is a very unique course that is a step-by-step process on how to develop a powerful relationship with the energy known as Lucifer. Tons of people have taken advantage of it. People are still buying it till this day. Definitely look into it if you're interested. The fourth link is my YouTube memberships. I would love to have you there. I would love to have you a part of the family, the Universal Mastery family. And it's always nice to see people with the little, badges next to their names and all of these different familiar faces. So I would love to have you a part of the Universal Mastery Collective and see all these familiar faces together because we're like a big family here. Okay, so that's the fourth link. And then the fifth link is going to be all of my book recommendations for you. Everything you need to know about the fundamentals of occultism are in this 4 ebook bundle, but you can also purchase these books on the physical copy or with the physical copy as well. And that is going to be linked at that fifth link below in the description. All right, so with that being said, we're going to wrap it up here. I appreciate all of you very, very much. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.